Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is another project recap video from Quality Counts. I'm excited about this one. This is one of the largest scale kind of projects that we do. And we got Rod Jones on the video who runs all of our largest projects. This was a project we did for Tennessee DOT. We do it every year. It's several thousand locations of data collection. As you know, with these videos, we just try to give you a little window into what it's like on our side, doing the more unique projects we do. And so, yeah, Rod, thank you for joining. And yeah, why don't you introduce yourself for everybody?
I appreciate that, Steve. Yeah, my name is Rodriguez Jones. I'm the director of operations here at Quality Counts. Working out of the Florida area, but helping a lot in Tennessee as well. I've been in the industry since 2006, so I've been able to see a lot of the changes in the industry and been with QC for 10 years now. Love the innovation here, and I get to use it a lot on this project.
Cool. Yeah, okay, so we're talking Tennessee DOT count program statewide. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this project and the scope of the project and you know what sort of what the client wants. Yeah.
So this is a project that we worked on for the last 2 years, and we're actually in the middle of kicking off the third year. In the last 2 years, it's been about 2,800 total locations that consist of class counts, ramp counts, directional volume counts, and some combined volume counts. They cover the full state of Tennessee, with most of the counts being concentrated in the major areas of Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga. And overall, I mean, I think just like any other clients, they're looking for a quality data set for us to get it done in a timely fashion. And ultimately, this is being used to help support understanding their growth from year to year. So working hand in hand with TDOT, meeting out the meeting, um, ultimately working with our prime client, which is Neil Schaefer, and working together to ultimately figure this out.
You know, one thing that I think is, most interesting is this is thousands of locations that you get equipment deployed in just a few months. Can you kind of talk about that, how you do that?
Yeah, so it's definitely challenging, definitely a lot of logistics. But I think it started with really having great guys in the field, along with the processes that we created here at QC and over my years of being in data collection. But it's really taking that management and taking it to the next level, really understanding where resources are, where equipment is, where even the technicians are during the day, during the night. So it's a lot of different tools that I'm using, everything from a fleet tracker to trackers in the background that ultimately tells us where each count stands, count by count. Also, a map that we create, and then I can get a visual of it as well. But the goal is really just setting amount of locations that we want to hit per week, and then coordinating resources to make that happen. So you kind of alluded to it. We were able to take care of this project in a total of 20 weeks, excluding sometime during the summer where we couldn't collect while school was out. But we got that done by hitting about 200 to 300 locations in a week, getting them fully processed, running them through our QA, QC process. Then they go through a process to be approved by the client, and finally they go to TDOT.
Why don't you show the map and yeah, show the map and kind of explain what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so here's a picture of the map. Actually, is the actual map. So we can kind of zoom in and see what's going on here. Probably the first thing you notice is a lot of pins and then a lot of different colors. So I could break down the colors. Pretty much blue is the class counts, which made up 937 of these locations. Green is the ramp counts. Those are more straightforward. With the class counts, we're doing all of those with video cameras and ultimately manually classifying 13 being FHWA classification on those. So we try and get ahead of the game and collect those as much as possible so that as they're being manually counted, the rest of our stuff is going through a machine learning program that we have proprietary that ultimately turns these around pretty quick. So we have the green ones that represent the ramps, the yellow represent directional volume, which is pretty much volume going in two directions, as you can see here. And then we have the combined volume locations, which are the red locations, and those just mean they just need a total that cross this area. Um, Talking about some of these logistics, like I said, you can see this is all over the state. So I'm usually placing my technicians in the Chattanooga, Knoxville area, the Memphis area, and then we have a brick and mortar in Nashville that we work out of as well. So each week, breaking this map down into about 200 locations, creating a map, sending it out to the guys, and then ultimately they're able to literally use their Google Maps GPS to locate location to location.
Okay, so pulling off a project like this every year, um, quickly, good data. What's hard about that? What's like the hardest part about making these projects happen? Like what challenges do you face?
I think it's a couple. Like I said, number one is just the sheer logistics of it. Sometimes I'm flying people in or shipping equipment in or renting vehicles. So it's staying on top of all of that each week, creating a schedule for each of the guys that's very detailed and telling them what to do, and then planning ahead with our other offices that I'm so grateful they're able to support with our resources, getting those in. So I think logistics is probably number one. Safety is always like our top concern. I was able to handle that in these situations by using our camera systems more. It's a way for us to not get in the roadway, deploy on the side of the road, and ultimately keep our technicians and the public safe. We run into issues, being over so many different places about having to get maybe approvals or permits, those type of things. I mean, it'll be hard for me to just pick one
Yeah.
of the challenges. I think is like an all-encompassing thing, but overall, I think the goal is just, the first year was just kind of figuring it out and trying to get everything done. Learning from the first year, we were able to use cameras more. The second year, which ultimately allowed us to kind of get out there one shot in a safe way and get everything collected. And this third time around, I mean, we even streamlined our maps even more. We're streamlining our tracking on the back end even more so that we can understand where locations stand in real time. So it's hard for me to think about the challenges because we usually identify them, overcome them, and then we're looking for the new challenges. So I think this time around, probably my biggest challenge is really just understanding how to refine our approach and just become more efficient.
Okay, last question. This is your third year for TDOT. But you've been doing these large projects you've done dozens of these, like, 500 location plus kind of projects. You've learned a lot with each one. If you could go back to Rod Jones when you did your first, when Rod Jones did his first, and give him some advice on how to make these projects happen and do them successfully, what would you tell him?
I mean, you taking me kind of far back there. I mean, my first project like this may have been back in 2009, running a similar large project in Florida. But I mean, I think it just all comes back to being confident in your systems, being confident in the team, having good people around you, and then really just understanding like mistakes are gonna happen, issues are gonna come up, and I think I've really taught myself to delegate and kind of keep my brain open to get ready to solve problems. You know, it's ultimately 2,800 locations being done in 20 weeks is gonna create challenges. I mean, I've had everything from rental cars getting a flat or a regular vehicle getting a flat, you know, to a person not showing up when I expect them to, communicating with the client to keep us on pace with the project. But, you know, I think just picking your things that are important, putting those at the forefront and figuring out the ways, you know, for you to achieve those at a high level will put you in a great place for success. And then I think the next part is just continuing to understand what the client needs. With me having so much experience on the back end now, I could kind of help them get to the right place that they're trying to go as I talk to them more and communicate with them. And T-Dot has been very receptive of, you know, some of the things that we've suggested, and we really work hand in hand with them to keep creating this project. So, yeah, overall, just, you know, building your confidence just like with anything else, and then leaning on your team and your solid systems to some answer up.
Well, thank you, Rod. Thank you for your time. And yeah, I think you're gearing up to do 2025 now. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct. This time around, we're doing about 2,000 locations, with about a third of them being class and the rest being volumes of ramps, directional volume and combined volume.
Cool. Well, thank you for taking the time, and yeah, thank you. See ya.
Thanks, Steve.